Tesla's stock is up over 1% at the time of recording this video. I know a lot of you were nervous when Tesla was down about 2.5% in pre-market, but as soon as we pretty much opened for trading, Tesla's stock went higher and really did not look back. Now, this is not a huge green day, but it is a step in the right direction. And we did get good news today, really reaffirming that Tesla probably does not have a demand problem at this current moment in time, at least not over in China or in Europe. Big question is, how does demand look like in the US? And we just seen yesterday that Tesla raised prices $1,000 on the long-range variant of the new refreshed Model 3. So I would argue that US demand is okay at the bare minimum. I think one of the big stories as well today that needs to be acknowledged here in this video is the somewhat collapse you're seeing in NVIDIA, SMCI, your AI/semiconductor names, and this dispersion of capital that you are seeing. If this does start a new trend, it could be great news for Tesla stock. We will get into everything you need to know in regards to Tesla, and let's get started. But before we do, notice how I have to kind of speak at a lower tone. That's because my 9-month-old beast of a son is sleeping and he's teething, so I'm gonna do my best to be a little bit on the chill side for this video so I do not wake him up. So first up, the news that is having a really positive effect on Tesla stock today is the weekly insurance registration numbers out of China. This is reported to us from Tesla Chan. And Tesla just insured 10,600 vehicles last week. That compares to the same week in 2023 at 8,643. That is actually up about 22% year over year. And your total in China is already 45,600 vehicles that have been insured in the start of 2024. From what I can see, there is no demand problem for Tesla at this moment in time. I think that does mean a lot of people are way too bearish on Tesla stock. I mean, for crying out loud, we just had Piper Sandler come out and say they expect 1.93 million deliveries in 2024. That is 7% growth from 2023. So it seems like now if Tesla can just grow deliveries by 10%, that would likely be good for the stock. And at this pace, setting a new record for the month of January, which is typically a pretty slow month overall for Tesla, and seeing these year-over-year gains in insurance registration numbers out of China, I think Tesla is going to pleasantly surprise all of the Tesla bulls when they do give us the next delivery number. And in fact, 4 out of 5 weeks so far in 2024 that we now have data for, Tesla has beat the 2023 numbers. It was the second week of this year that you did see Tesla come in a little bit light, and that was widely regarded as a shipping week for Tesla, where they really shipped a lot of the vehicles that they made, and they were not selling as many of them in mainland China itself. But you could see you beat last year's number by 1,000 vehicles week 1. You missed by about 3,500 vehicles year over year in the second week. In the third week, you beat by about 4,000 vehicles. In the fourth week, you beat by about 9,000 vehicles. And now this past week, week number 5, you're higher by about 2,000 vehicles year over year. If this continues, you're going to see some very impressive numbers out of Tesla this year. And good news is Tesla stock at $183 per share is priced for bad news. Anytime we get good news, like a better than expected vehicle registration number out of China, Tesla stock's going to react favorably to that. Now, I actually find it quite interesting that Tesla stock is up about 1.5%, give or take, at the time of recording this video, because Dawa Capital Markets downgraded Tesla to a neutral rating from outperform. So you went from outperform, you skipped the buy rating, you went straight to neutral. That's a double downgrade. That's usually bad, really bad. And they cut their 12-month price target to $195 per share from $245. I think it is way too late to be double downgrading Tesla and to be cutting your 12-month price target when Tesla stock has already fallen almost 30% in 2024. Actions like this from firms and investment banks, as we will start to get more downgrades in Tesla or on Tesla, this is actually really bullish because it does indeed set the bar lower. So it's going to be easier to surprise investors to the upside. And for whatever reason, if Tesla did go through a slump and the business does slow down, well, people are already braced for it. Ferrari is testing a Tesla Model S Plaid at its Maranello factory. Not exactly sure what this is for, but automakers do have a history of copying Tesla. Some Tesla showrooms in the US are starting to let people explore the interior of the Cybertruck. Mercedes has launched their new e-Sprinter electric van in the US with a starting price of $72,000, 272 miles of range, 75 miles per hour top speed, LFP battery pack, and now available at dealerships. Tesla is sending out a new email to drive the upgraded Model 3. Tesla started paid advertising on X in the US. Tesla is now actually running about 700 ads today. So you have went from 400 around the earnings now to 700. Tesla started to advertise on X, like we just mentioned. In Japan, where they said on the earnings call, there's very little penetration or knowledge about Tesla. But what's interesting, they're actually advertising now on short form platforms. They're advertising on, from what I can see definitively, TikTok and YouTube Shorts. I don't know if they're advertising on Reels yet. I think that would be a pretty good demographic to potentially target. But here you have what looks like a TikTok ad. You have a couple of them that you can actually see, like YouTube, right? YouTube Shorts here. I don't know if this is the best way to necessarily be advertising, because I think you probably want to be on TVs. I think that's the most effective way to be advertising. I don't think that would actually show up here in the Google Ads Transparency Center, though. This is going to track everything that's more or less online, not as much like a TV ad. So if you guys do start to see any TV ads anywhere, let me know. But here's another short form ad here on YouTube Shorts. These advertisements may or may not boost sales for Tesla. Again, Tesla's running about 700 different ads, so it's a fairly decently large ad campaign. But you guys got to remember, the reason why a lot of firms actually advertise, the reason why you've seen 1,000 McDonald's commercials in your lifetime is not because you run out and go buy McDonald's. It's just not. It is so next time you're hungry, McDonald's is the thought that comes to mind, whereas a restaurant might not be, or some other, institution might not be. That's why people advertise, to keep the brand alive in your brain. Your brain processes millions of data points every single day without you even noticing, right? And when you hear ads, it gets stored in your brain, essentially. So what advertising is really aiming to do, more or less, is take you for an example, or somebody you know. The next time they're in the market to buy a car, they might think about a Tesla, whereas they wouldn't have prior if they hadn't seen those ads 3 months ago or 6 months ago or 2 years ago. That's really what advertising is for. It's not to instantly boost sales. So it does take a while to see how effective advertising is, because you're just trying to plant an image in someone's mind. But I do indeed think this is the right step at this point for Tesla to be doing. But again, I think a Super Bowl commercial would be really, really good. Do something that is super cool, that blows everyone away. I think it's like $18 million for 30 seconds or something along those lines. Easily affordable. Just do it. Reach hundreds of millions of people. That odds are, if you still have cable television, you probably don't own a Tesla. I would say the penetration in cable TV owners compared to Tesla ownership, it's probably pretty low. Most people are cutting the cord at this point. We will see what happens with that. Let me know down below in the comment section if Tesla should run a Super Bowl commercial. UK energy storage developer Pacific Green has unveiled plans for a massive 1 gigawatt 2.5 gigawatt hour big battery in Portland in southern Australia, which will power 100,000 homes. The discharging of energy from the park will also enable the avoidance of approximately 66,900 tons of carbon dioxide a year. The project won't be using Tesla Megapacks. At least not yet. Tesla North America posted this on their X account. They say transfer-free supercharging, or FSD, or both, from your current Tesla to a new sexy through March 31st, which is the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. Toyota says it will add $1.3 billion into its Kentucky assembly plant to build battery assemblies for future EVs and support future electrification efforts. Choice Hotels today announced an agreement with Tesla to offer Tesla Universal Wall connectors to participating Radisson, Cambria, Comfort, Country Inn & Suites, Quality Inn, and other Choice branded hotels across the U.S. Option activity in Tesla stock today is also on the stronger side. 686 orders from hedge funds and institutions worth $138.46 million and a positive order value of 62%. Volume to the call side of 53.15% and volume to the put side of 46.85%. It also does appear as if the shorting activity in Tesla is dying down at least a little bit today, with your cost to borrow fees dropping quite a bit. On really bad days for Tesla, when there's a lot of shorting activity, it's obvious to see because cost of borrow fees will go to like 10%. And if you're paying 10% to get your hands on Tesla stock, that means there's a lot of people trying to get their hands on Tesla stock. The higher the cost of borrow fees, the more people that are trying to borrow shares, the less shares there are available, the higher the fees. It's pretty simple. Today, you're back down to 1.47%, so a lot less shorting activity today. That does coincide with Tesla stock being up 1.33% at the time of recording this video. Google Trends data for the Tesla lineup shows a slight acceleration for the Model X and the Cybertruck. The Model 3 and the Model Y staying exactly the same at 35 for the Model 3 and 34 for the Model Y. Global inventory numbers for the Model Y upticking by about 200 today. The Model X is increasing by about 200 as well over the past 2 days. The Model S and the Model 3 are staying at basically 12-month lows for total inventory numbers, suggesting a lot of demand potentially for those two models. We are also getting some relief today in the 10-year Treasury. 10-year Treasuries are down about 7.5 basis points. This comes after a pretty meteoric rise that you have seen from February 1st, 2024. So literally 5 days ago, 10-year Treasuries were at 3.86% to close on February 1st. Then yesterday, they hit a high of 4.16%. That is almost equivalent to 2 rate hikes, not cuts, rate hikes in this move in the 10-year Treasury. That has caused interest rate sensitive stocks to sell down, including Tesla. So the fact that you are seeing 10-year Treasury yields actually falling today by almost 8 basis points, that is great news. That is precisely why the Russell 2000 is up 0.71% today, and the NASDAQ is down almost 0.5%. You are seeing a rotation in the markets. This rotation is causing stocks like Nvidia to sell off 3.2% on zero news. And at one point, Nvidia was down over 4%. We'll see where things shake out here in the last bit of time we have left in our markets. But some certain stocks like big tech names, even Apple, bad earnings, recovered, did just fine. Nvidia has rallied almost 50% in 2024 so far. SMCI, all of these AI chip names that have done very well. At the same time, average stocks, Tesla, interest rate sensitive names, have not done anything. Today, it's the opposite. Today, big tech is selling down at least a little bit across the board. And your smaller cap names are doing much better. Now, Nvidia will be reporting their earnings not next week, but the week after. And Nvidia, It's actually interesting. NVIDIA usually sees most of its earnings rally before earnings itself. And then NVIDIA tends to sell off at least a little bit over the coming couple of weeks following their earnings. So if we were to get a reset or correction in our markets, it could be based around the timing of NVIDIA's earnings. The percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average today is up about 2.83% to 49.60%, and it's long overdue that you have seen a bounce here in the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average. We will also have some earnings today in after hours with Snapchat, Enphase, Ford, Chipotle, Elf, Fortinet, VF Corporation, Amgen, Edwards, and Gilead. Obviously, watch certain sectors. Ford, if they say anything specifically about EVs, could affect Tesla. Chipotle will affect food. Elf will affect other female-related companies like Altria, or not Altria, but Alta, companies like that. Snapchat will affect your advertisers. Could affect big tech like a Facebook or an Alphabet, so be on the lookout for that. Enphase will affect solar energy companies. I wouldn't be surprised if it potentially affects Tesla a little bit. I'm pretty somewhat bullish on Enphase earnings, so we'll have to wait and see. Tomorrow, you are going to get earnings from Alibaba, Uber, CVS Health, Roblox, XPO Logistics, Aries, Bunge, Scott's Miracle-Gro, Berry, and Emerson tomorrow morning. That's actually interesting. That's my teething son's name, Emerson, spelled the same way, so actually pretty interesting. Tesla stock on a technical basis is holding up support above 180. That is great news. Even though you're seeing this slight bounce today, you're still oversold on the RSI. With the RSI of 26.64, Tesla at this point is long overdue for quite a bounce, and I do think that's coming. It's inevitable. And at this point, you're probably going to have to see a bounce up to about 195 to get the RSI above 30. And then historically, any time that you have went under 30 on the RSI and went positive again, you've proceeded to rally 30 to 40% on average, sometimes hundreds of percents. So maybe this time's different. Maybe Tesla stock just gets oversold, stays here for a while, bounces a little bit, gets above 30, and nothing happens from there. I would say that's unlikely based on statistics of what normally happens with Tesla stock when the stock does get this oversold. So I do think, for lack of a better term, it is inevitable that Tesla will get a large rally. And again, to my point that I've made throughout this video, Tesla is priced for bad news. Tesla's priced for, bad numbers. If you get anything that's good, I don't think people are expecting that. And that could be really good for Tesla stock. Also, if you look at the MACD is pretty much in the floor as well. Very, very negative. The MACD line is negative almost 14, and the signal line is negative 12.76. I want to say it doesn't get worse than that, but it obviously could. It would just be unprecedented if things got much worse from here. It's very easy for people to say Tesla sucks, Tesla's going to keep going lower, when Tesla has already went lower. Tesla's already fallen from, 265 back here on December 28th. Again, the same specific moment in time you peaked out here with the percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average. It's not just Tesla, but a lot of stocks have also fallen. Tesla has fallen a lot more since December 28th because of the bad news they have got, the earnings reaction, the price cuts that you have seen to start 2024. But again, long story short, I do think a potential rally is coming here. Now, are you going to get back to 265? Probably not. Could you get into the low 200s again? Up to as high as maybe 215, 220? Of course. And I would not count Tesla out in that regard, even in the short term. Still, by the end of 2024, I do believe Tesla stock can hit all-time highs again. But you would really have to see things go in favor for Tesla. You would have to get more rate cuts from the Fed. You would have to get Tesla raising prices. You would have to get margin improving. At that point, you probably get some good demand. And yeah, boom. That could potentially set Tesla's stock up to all-time highs, at least in my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Anything can happen, but I think That makes a lot of sense. StockTwits has Tesla's sentiment at 88 today, so extremely bullish, more bullish than yesterday's 82, so that's good news. Message volume is pretty much the same as yesterday. Yesterday you were at 57, which is categorized as high. Today you're at 54, which is categorized as normal, but I would say it's pretty just normal message volume today. Nothing too spectacular, nothing too high, nothing too low. Pretty normal there. Participation ratio sitting at 41, which is categorized on the low side, but this is pretty much where Tesla has been for a while. Let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to come trade with us, come trade some of these earnings today and after hours, come swing trade this market, day trade this market, some cryptos in there, some long-term investments. We do it all over there. Come join that community of over 200 different members. We would love to have you and we would welcome you with open arms. If you have any questions, lots of members over there available to answer them all times of the day or night. I mean, you'd be surprised how late some of you guys stay up. I was pretty surprised. But nonetheless, you can come ask me questions as well over there. Great way to support the channel, support what we are trying to do here on the channel, and that is reach financial freedom as quickly as possible to stay as knowledgeable and up to date with what's going on in the markets. That's why I don't only talk about Tesla stock. That's why I talk about what's happening in the markets, semiconductors, where the money is going, yield curves being inverted, warnings from JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon, and what the Fed is doing. All of these different things I think are vitally important for you to understand, not just for your Tesla position, but for your overall financial literacy goals, right? You want to be financially smart, financially literate. That's ultimately more important than what one stock is doing, because you got to know how to keep the money once you get the money. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael Tyler, Emerson over there, and I will see you in the next one.